my CTS here, and right now we're gonna import the AutoCAD DXF file that you sent me for the double shaft. So I clicked on the double shaft AutoCAD 3D DXF file, and you would see that this is how the file has been imported. Now once I import the file, you can see that this file has certain aberrations. The geometry is not as smooth as we want it to be. So since the geometry is not smooth, we cannot use it for finite element analysis. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make it smoother, and would try to obtain a smoother profile of the shaft. But before that, what I'm going to do is, just to mark what is the end of the shaft, I'm going to create the work plane at the location of the bottom of the shaft, and then we're gonna create the cross section at the top, and we're gonna use the extrude feature to create the whole depth of the shaft. So for that, first of all, I'm going to go to geometry, work plane, move. I'm going to move the work plane at the bottom of the shaft. I'm going to use the 3-point movement. Let me zoom in at the bottom of the shaft. Okay, so I'm going to select any 3 random points at the bottom of the shaft so that I can tell the program where I want the work plane to be. And this is how the work plane will be shifted, which is at the bottom of the shaft. I'll click on OK, and you can see the work plane has been shifted. Now I'm going to go to the top view, and I'm going to create a rectangle on the work plane at the depth at the end of the shaft, so that I get to know, okay, till this point I have to create the shaft. Okay, and that's it. We created the surface. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we would like to change some of the geometry of the shaft so that we can have a smoother shaft cross section. So I'm going to select the part of the shaft that I do not need. I just need the top portion of the shaft so that I can extract the cross section out of it. So I'm just going to delete the ones that I do not need, and at the bottom I don't need these ones. So whatever I do not need, I'll just delete it. Whatever I feel like I can delete, I'm going to delete it. Okay, so right now we are left with only the top portion of the shaft, and now I'm going to explode this top portion so that I can obtain the edges, because I'm going to use the edges to create the cross section of the double shaft. So I'm going to use the explode feature. I'm going to select the shapes that I want to be exploded, and I'm going to explode them to edges, and I'm going to delete the original shapes. So let me click on OK here, and you would realize that after this thing is completed, we have all the edges which are used to make these formal surfaces, which have been deleted now. So now I'm gonna select the edges which I do not need right now, and I'll delete them. And now let us hide the surface for a while, and let us go to the top view, and let us see what are the lines that we have here. So again, I'm gonna delete the unwanted lines. Okay, so now let us keep the exterior surface of the shaft. For that, I'm just gonna delete the lines that we have at the interior. So I'm just selecting the lines here which are at the interior, because as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna model the shaft as the plate element. The lining of the shaft will be modeled as the plate element, so we just need the line surfaces so that we can model the shaft. So here it is. I am just deleting the extra lines that I have in the model which I do not need. Let me just delete the ones that I have selected by far. Hit delete, they will be deleted. Okay, so the second portion of the shaft looks good as of now. We have this one undesired. Okay, selected it, deleted it. Now let us keep this profile of the shaft here, the one going here. So we're gonna delete the undesired part of it. So here I'm gonna delete all the undesired parts of it. So these are the undesired lines that we do not need, so I'm deleting them one by one. Okay, these has to be deleted. This has to be deleted. Similarly, this has to be deleted. So whatever we don't need, we are deleting it so that we clear some space and we create a perfect finite element model out of these lines. Okay, so I'm selecting it one by one. Okay, move on. Select the unwanted lines. Let us delete whatever we have selected so far. Okay, looks good, looks cleaner. We don't need this one. Let's delete it. And we don't need the interior ones, so I'm just gonna delete them. Okay, delete it. Let us start from the other end now. So delete this one and delete these ones which are undesired here. Again, delete the undesired lines. So basically it's based on judgment. You have to judge which lines are important for you and which lines are not. And basically what I'm doing right now, I'm just keeping I just took one of the lines and I'm deleting the other ones which I do not need. Okay, this one, maybe this one, and I do not need this one. I do not need here. And then let's go back. Okay, let me delete whatever I've selected so far. Okay, this is how it looks like. So now I get to know which one has to be deleted. These ones have to be deleted clearly. Okay, let's delete these ones. Okay, so by far we have obtained a very clear line diagram here, which would be used to represent the cross section of the double shaft. Okay, now you would realize that if I go to the top view again, these ends are not connected. For that, we just go to curve, create on 3D, create a line, and we just connect them. Very simple, just connect them using end-to-end feature. Yeah, let me just, okay, perfect. So looks good so far, everything looks cool. Okay, now let's use the extrude feature. Let me activate the surface that we earlier created to demarcate what is the depth of the shaft. So we're gonna use these surfaces. We're gonna go to geometry, generate a feature, extrude, and we're gonna use the extrusion profile as the cross section that we have just created by going into the edge option. And then we're gonna the extrusion direction, we're gonna use the 2-point vector, and we will select any 2 points, and we just have to extrude it in the z direction. So I just unchecked X and Y and click on this button. It will take the distance. So I'm just gonna put a larger distance here so that I will trim the surfaces later on, and I'm gonna name it as, let's say, shaft. Or maybe what we can do is we can select individual edges so that we can demarcate between the two shafts. So let me choose independent edges here like this so that we can demarcate between the two shafts. Okay, that's good. And select, okay, the 2-point vector will be good, and this is how it would be extruded. Let's extrude it by like 40. We can always cut the rest of the portion, and I'm gonna name it as, let's say, shaft 1. Okay, apply. Now select the edges for the other second part of the double shaft here. select all the edges. Okay, this is how it would look like. Bingo, it looks good. Hit on, name it as shaft 2, hit on apply. Okay, and finally we will trim the surfaces. So we're gonna use geometry, surface, trim or divide by surface. We're gonna select the surfaces in the form of the double shaft surfaces. The tool surface will be the bottom rectangle which demarcates what is the depth of the shaft. We're gonna delete the original surface and we're gonna delete the tool surface. Hit OK, and right now just delete the bottom part of the surfaces. Okay, there we go, and we have the perfect double shaft cross section. This completes video 1.